I'm saying that it's very important that we are taught to believe that it's very important for you to do away with these jargons. If you can express the words in simple form for people to understand it, there is no need for you to use big jargons. However, if your target audience are people within your community who share common interests, who are able to explore similar topics like yourself, then you may want to use your jargons because you know that they understand the words that you are using. But if you are targeting other people, you are targeting your audiences, different set of people, you would want to tone down the use of jargons unless that word has, same meaning within quite simple context. Other than that, please try and express yourself in very simple manner for people to understand it. Because your words, people might not be familiar with the words that you are using, and they might even misinterpret it. And that is where the problem is. So it's very important to do that. Get the right images. If you are going to take pictures for your success story, you should make sure that now there is one interesting thing you have to know. There should be a connection between the text and the images that you accompany the text with. Because you see, if in the picture or the images that you are using seem to convey different meaning, and then your text is also conveying another meaning, what it means is that there is complete mismatch between the images you are using and the message or the text that you are given. So, for example, I want to say that I want to say Sarah or Millicent is happy, and then I put a picture of Millicent crying, or maybe I put a picture of Millicent, expressing a form of anger, and then I put text beside this, see happy Millicent. What do you think? How would people be able to understand what you're trying to convey? They will have different, in fact, they would be like, but this picture doesn't really connect with the text that I've been put here. This text says this person is happy. However, what I see here is, a picture depicting someone who is sad. It's the same way when you are taking pictures. Isabella, yourself, Hassan, Millicent, Sarah, Prince, everyone on the call. If we are trying to take pictures, Grace, if we are trying to take pictures for your success story, please, it should be pictures that in itself, even without text, you'll be able to make the rightful meaning out of it. It should be simple for people to understand, and it should be taken in the right positioning so that at least they will be able to have, they'll be able to see it clearer. And again, also be able to see the message that picture is communicating. And then, so you cannot go and pick someone who is, let's say, you have a kid crying, and then maybe you want to say that your intervention is making kids of so and so village very excited, and they are so happy going to school. You see them put smiles on their face, as we normally use, put smile on their face. But then you bring a kid who is crying, and you see this kid is really sad. Then I can imagine that the connection between that particular picture and the message that you're conveying, you see there is complete mismatch between the two. There is so much disconnection between the two. The reason why we say you should get the right images. Please, any questions so far on this? Okay. Now you also need to cut. Yes, go on, please.
I have a question concerning pictures. There's been a recent trend of people saying when you take pictures of people, maybe in orphanages or in certain situations, you have to blur the faces and basically not make their identities known. So I just wanted to ask about that. Like, what's the boundaries around getting the right images to portray it for storytelling?
Okay, thank you very much. I love this question. maybe anyone who wants to contribute to this before I come in?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
I think, I don't know, I am not a lawyer, but then there are certain pictures when it is captured in a public domain, no one can claim or can see you for that. And also with respect to the orphanage, I think you can seek the consent of those who take care of them. And the purpose with which you use it can also cause, will be a point of concern. Some people are just extorting money by capturing those images and using it for wrong purpose. But if it is in the interest of the children and to also raise something to support them, I don't think it will be a cause for alarm. So it depends on the motive for taking the picture, seeking the necessary consent from those taking charge of them, and the use, the spectrum with which you are going to, the medium with which you display those images.
Yes. Anyone else, please?
Yes. Yes, please.
Yes, please go ahead.
Isabella.
Yes, Isabella, go ahead.
This particular issue is very serious because in my case, you know, the GES is against it, and there's a new trend where you see some teachers making mockery of probably mistakes kids make, and then it trends on probably TikTok and those things. So lately, people are raising alarm on teachers posting their learners. I'm using teachers because I'm a teacher. I can't talk for other places.
Yes.
You realize that people, like some teachers post kids, like when they are pronouncing certain words, they make mistakes and all those things. So it has generally made it a problem. So now people are like, teachers are just posting, as my brother said, are just posting for the wrong reason. And then it is affecting those doing it for the right cause. So for me, I think my cousin also raised that. She is in the UK, so she raised that concern. And then she said that sometimes you might be doing it, you know, in Europe, they go by the law, and then the parents can sue you and all those things.
Yes.
But over here, I mean, to even get parents to even ask them, oh, please, I want permission to do this, it's even difficult. So for me, sometimes when I do, let's say I take a video of a before of, let's say, a torn shoe or something, I only take the foot of the child. And then the after, I only take the foot of the child. Sometimes I just make the child face the board. Or even if it has to do with like the whole class or something, I maybe the write-up I'll do would have to cover their faces, because whichever way, you know, you're doing it for the right cause, but sometimes if you don't take it, you're going to get into trouble. So I just prefer to, most of the times, just ignore their faces so that it won't cause trouble for me. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. So anyone else? Otherwise, I would come in quickly on that.
I just want to say what Isabella said. It's very true, because from my own end, I'm not even looking at the legal perspective of it. I'm looking at the human side of it. I can imagine maybe growing up in an orphanage, and then years later, I find out that my picture is like the poster for an organization looking scruffy, looking unhealthy and malnourished. I just feel sometimes there need to be boundaries around these images that are being put out there.
Yes.
Can I comment on that?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yes, I think it depends on the atmosphere or the environment that you took the pictures at the time that you are taking the pictures, and where you are going to use these pictures. If it is in a public place, I believe that it shouldn't be an issue, because yes, but if it is in a private setting, for example, say in a classroom or in an official setting, like an office sort of, that one, I think it will be best if you seek the consent of the the people that will be in the pictures. Yes, that is my own take.
Okay.
Please, can I
Go on, please.
Yeah, sometimes. So I'm on a realistic note, because I am in the classroom. Sometimes it's not just easy to you know, get consent and all those things, because let me use myself as an example. There was a day I had to go do an outreach. You go do the outreach, you come back, and then the education office is like, oh, you're supposed to bring it to the office for us to share it to the schools we want to. Now, as a CSO, you realize that sometimes you can't do it that way. You can't go and dump the things or dump the benefits in the office for them to do the sharing. Where do you get your pictures? How then do you give feedback to your donors? So sometimes it's not that easy to say that you'd have to go through the right processes. As I said, sometimes I just take my pictures without their faces, sincerely, because altogether, I usually say that sometimes you don't know what will happen unless it happens. Unless you get into trouble, you don't know there's trouble. They'll now read all the education laws and then the code of conduct.
Then you realize that they are lost.
Yes. Because issues come up and you realize that, like, even if there's no trouble, someone will just find a way to let you get into trouble until it happens. So I think when I did the outreach for my school's building, it was after everything had come and then the person came to hand over the classroom. That was when they were now asking me, how did you get them? And I was now explaining. It was from there that my secretary supervisor got closer and was like, oh, okay. So it means that, Isabella, you need reports, you need this so that later you can give out to your donors and all that. That is where he now got the understanding. But most of the times, people don't really get those things. They think you are doing it like to show off or those kind of things.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. Let's go on.
Bella, can we also see from this angle about when?
Yeah, I'm listening.
I think we discussed it on stakeholder management or something. You are working with a bigger spectrum. You are working on the gears, though you are doing your private or individual initiative. So this is where the conflict lies. Whatever you were able to achieve the objective or the goal, and you were able to draw them to you. But then on the right note to start is to consult the necessary stakeholders or those who matters in this objective. So they could also take you on for not consulting them. Now you were lucky that you got someone who bought into your idea. What if you get someone who is envious of you and would like to maybe take you down for no reason? We saw what happened to Teacher Kojo. Teacher Kojo's initiative of saving a whole community, but then people felt that the approach with which he took was wrong. He lost his job for that. And so when you consider the necessary arrangement, you realize that he was wrong. But then when you consider it from humanitarian angle, you realize that it is good. So I think getting stakeholders' interest here is important. That is why my brother Sowi also said that when it is in a private space, and this in your circumstance, the school as an entity or the classroom as an entity is a private space, which is guided and run by GS. So should anything goes out, they should be in your defense, or they can expose you that we didn't send you on this errand. So we are fortunate that, or we are happy that the thing yielded positive result and you got someone to board.
So can I come in?
Yes,
with the Teacher Kojo's issue, I think Teacher Kojo's issue had to do with his absenteeism and all that. But with my case, as I mentioned earlier on, I didn't even know I wasn't doing this officially. I think I mentioned this from the onset.
Yeah, you did.
I did, yes. I didn't do it officially, like I'm doing a CSO or something. No, it just came up that, I feel that this thing doesn't look good. So in my case like this, when I did the call for action, I called Smoggers. Now, Smoggers are old students of my school, St. Mary's Old Girls. That was it, because I knew I could get help from there. And that was where the help came from. And then when I did my first this thing, it was during the vacation. It was during the vacation. Now, my head teacher in question knew about it. So what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to the office, it's a long chain. I know it's a long chain. Now you can deal with your head. He would accept what you are doing. But in the long run, when it becomes a big thing, you realize that the head is like, maybe I told this person. It doesn't really work like that. Like in a certain way, it doesn't really work like that. Some things are even done without the director himself getting to know. It is after that they give him a report. Do you get it? So some of these things just come up. Yeah, some of these things just come up. Not that my immediate boss is aware, that is my head teacher. He's aware that these are the things that I do in my classroom. Because like sometimes you have to stand out. I do it in that way. And then I am not doing it as a civil, I've not set up any organization per se. What I say is that I'm doing it as a teacher who is helping her children. That is all. Because I don't want to attach any organization to it, any NGO to it. That was when I started. For people to feel that, oh, you are doing this to extort money. No, I just identify a child who needs help. I'm like, oh, okay, please, if you have old shoes that they can use, send it down to me. And then people send it to the station, they send it to me, and then I just share it. Not that it's a really registered, no, I'm just doing it. When I started, it's like I'm just doing it like a teacher who is giving help to their children, because I started by myself with my own money, with my own things. But now I realize that people are coming in, so it has to be official, and that's why I'm here doing the trade.
All right, thank you very much, and I'm sure you are learning a lot from this.
Yes, I am. A lot.
So let me first of all say that I love the debate you all have come up with, because everybody has a very valid point. However, I'm going to just break it down so we all of us are carried on the same path. Now, I first of all want to make a reference to in 2022. I don't know if my Nigeria folks, you are there, but you realize that, I don't know if you can remember, but there was a press release or a statement from Coalition of Orphanages and Children's Home in Nigeria. And in this particular statement, they emphasize that now people or leaders taking care of orphanage homes, they are supposed not to allow anybody comes to the place, take pictures, whether they are celebrating with the kids or not. When they do that, they will be asked to pay a fine of 50,000 naira. Now, the purpose of the penalty is ensure strict compliance. They do this, they said in their letter that was dated 18 November 2022, that they are doing this to protect the rights of children. Now, let me just emphasize this. In every country, there are set of rules and laws that protect children. Now, by now, we all know who a child is. What it means is that we believe that a child is not in the right position or mental maturity to consent to things like taking pictures of him to post it on social media or for any other purpose. That is why we are saying that these laws that are respective to each country should not be implemented by the kid. So don't assume that it's a kid that will give you the permission. No, these laws need to be enforced by the authority that governs or that looks after that particular organization where that children is confined. So in this case, the headmaster, who is supposed to give you permission to take pictures of the kids, is first of all, we need to refer to a set of guidelines and laws governing or from the higher body like Ghana Education Service, governing such situation in that scenario. So the headmaster cannot just say, oh, don't worry, take pictures. No, even the headmaster have to refer to the guidelines and the laws that governs such scenarios and be able to apply as such. So, Isabella, like you rightly mentioned, if you don't know and you go and take pictures of kids and say that, oh, the headmaster allowed, when it becomes a legal issue, the headmaster will step aside. You know why? Because he equally don't want to be like, he doesn't want to interface with the law. He doesn't want to be the reason why. He doesn't want to be the one to be held liable for this. Because at the end of the day, he is a first point of contact because he needs to have complied to the laws. He needs to have implemented the laws that have been established by the state through the higher body of Ghana Education Service. concerning such situations. Not only in the education sector, but any place where kids are being taken care of, there are set of rules that governs that environment. So there is always the first call to action to all of us, yourself, myself, anybody participating in this course, that your first point of contact is that before you publish any images or take pictures of the kids over there and all that, before it goes out or before you even engage in taking it in the first place, you need to seek consent of from the authorities that govern such bodies. Now, when those authorities are also, they also have the responsibility to refer directly to the laws that govern the institution from a higher body. So that is where you have to be very careful not to make sure you put yourself in trouble. So always seek consent, but don't seek it from the kids, seek it from the right authority. And it's also expected that the responsibility of these authorities would be in direct relationship with the higher authority that sets such laws to govern such scenarios. And then we also mentioned capture your impact in a very simple format for them to be able to, grab the story you want to tell. So that is it for that debate. Now, I'll just briefly touch on, because of our time, let's briefly touch on the channels of communication. Now, we already established from the beginning that the channels of communication is determined based on the kind of audience you're dealing with. So first of all, you know the audience, where they can be found, then use the right channel to reach out to them. So it's like, okay, you want to reach kids who are not familiar with social media, but what if the school is an open place where you can convey your information to? So it means that the school automatically becomes a channel based on which you'll be able to disseminate your information. And when you go there, inherent in it is what mode of, what approach would you use to be able to disseminate it? Are you going to use billboard? Are you going to use, are you going to use storyboards in there? Are you going to just go and write something for them? Are you going to tell a story in a form of storytelling for the kids to equally, get your information, as well as other audience that you want to deal with? So which channels you want to use? We've already said that. Then the sender, you already know the sender is you and I who want to dispatch that information, who want to tell about a story. And then the receiver are the audience who are going to receive our information and act on it. So that's what we said, the medium or the channels of communication. What you say is important as how and where you say it. Now, we say this is important because then again, everything that you say is like, sometimes someone will be talking to you, but you realize that, you ask the person, are you angry? No, the person might not be angry, but it is the way the person said it. That's why we say that it's important about what you say. What you say is as important as how you say it and where you say it. Now, the medium is the message. Herbert Marshall McLuhan in 1990s. Now, I remember in journalism school, they mentioned the medium is the message. We didn't understand it until recently. I got to realize that when you say the medium is the message, what it means is that now the person conveying that information and the channel that is used has an impact on the message that is disseminated across. So you yourself, so we are saying that you should be able to use the information should come from a credible source, because the credibility of that information is also attached to the person disseminating such information. So it's also very important. We won't talk much about all these things. I've mentioned it. So these are all channels of communication, whether you're going to use videos, billboards, placards, virtual reality, newsletters, press releases, blogs, among others. You can use different forms of telling your story, like we rightly mentioned, whether it's going to be in a form of reports. And then now let's touch briefly on social media, and then now we can just invite a few questions and then end this session. Social media is very important because now the world is migrating to a community, a virtual community where we are all connected to each other. So seamless. And social media have come to stay as a sort of a machinery that allows this interaction to take place in this virtual community that we are finding ourselves now. It is important why, that is the reason why you cannot take away social media from the channels of communication that we use for disseminating our success stories. So we know that more than ever, the world is connected through one force, social media. I've already mentioned that. As it stands now, over 120 million people are using social media. That should tell you the extent to which your story can go if you leverage social media wisely. Now, because of time, I'll just touch briefly on how you can use social media wisely in your story, success story. The thing is, if you want to use social media judiciously, you should be able to have a plan in place that will guide you in selecting the right channels, the strategy that you want to use to disseminate such information. That also include understanding your audience, the demography. The demography means their patterns of characteristics, age, location, interest, even somehow political affiliation, social ties, culture, and all that. All these things add up to the demography of your audience. And then you also look at your budget, what you want to include as the cost aspect of your social media plan. What are you like? How much are you likely to spend on this? You need to have a budget for that. You need to know who your audience is, your community, and then if all things doesn't work out like the way you expect, when there are crises, how do you tend to address it? Then there is also implementation. You develop inherent in your social media plan is your content calendar that guides you on the kind of information you want to dispatch on your social media platforms. And then again, how you intend to engage with your community. Apart from that, you need to equally have a way of measuring your output, measuring the effort that you are putting in, the activities that you are undertaking, whether to see whether they are yielding results or not, and then regulate your community. And then when you realize that things are not working as expected, you need to look at change. Change is inevitable. So you need to find ways and means to modify the approach that you are using. So I will not touch on, there are a few things that maybe you may want to discuss later, but I would love you all to go and explore what goes into our social media content plan. I've already mentioned that you need to have a content plan that guides you on what information you need to dispatch on your platforms, at what time, which day, again, to which kind of audience that you are looking at. And then again, using identified element, create a content plan to create awareness. Now, I want you to take this work quite seriously. After this particular session, go out there, explore your social media calendar. You do not necessarily need to be an organization, but you as an individual, if you are embarking on a social intervention project, you should be able to have a way you want to dispatch your success stories and across the social media platform. So you should have a calendar that tells you when and how to even go about it, what to post as well. By the way, when you say content that we have already said, content, sort of the information in the form of videos, text, infographics, among others. This is what content refers to. But the calendar helps you, which of these things are you supposed to dispatch at what time on your platforms and to which kind of audience as well. Now, when you are creating this content plan, the content calendar, I want you to equally look into whether you want to focus on education, women or youth, agriculture, human rights, among others. You can do this and then send an email to me. I'm putting my email in the chat box, so you can equally send me an email for me to go through this the plan that you're going to create for yourself and for your organization and provide the needed guidance that I can do that. So I've put my email there. gianka@waxy.org. So you have it in there, and then you can have the assignment done. Now, I want you to also check Waxy's social media platforms for you to, see how we craft our success stories and how we have been trying to, galvanize people to support the course that we are pursuing through success stories, among others, that we try to, use it to drive support for our work. You can check that out on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and then on LinkedIn as well. I would love to connect with all of you. I would love you to follow our social media handles. Then you can equally be taking some inspirations from what we have been doing, and then individual pages as well. Please make sure that after this session, you could connect with each other, not just participating in this, yearly program, but equally form a community where you discuss ideas and know how.
The email address again.
Ahenkra@waxy.org. I thought I put it in the charts. Okay. Okay. All right. So, like someone would say, we have actually come to the end of this session, but I'm very sure you have all enjoyed the discussions that took place. I would love if anybody has any question, but because of time, please, we could be quite snappy and address it quickly. You can either put it on the chat box, or you can put it in the comment section, or you can equally just say it briefly so we can address it. Other than that, I would love to know your feedback on this session, so help us to improve subsequently. Thank you very much for your time.